me out here in the Music Academy of Acadiana.
Down a dream, right on time, never steer you wrong. New stroke.
So cool, Jaryd. Tell us a little bit about your music.
You know, I kind of got into music the same way as Kevin and those guys. You know, just from a song standpoint. You know, I've always was more into the song and into the storytelling part, and so that's kind of what intrigued me and really wanted to make music. You know, was to write the songs, and you know, our style is kind of all over the map as well to a certain extent. You know, southern rockish country. You know, wherever that falls into any category these days. I don't know, but. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's from all sorts of influences, you know, from the Hank Juniors to the Bob Seger. That's, in a nutshell, somewheres in, you know, the product of all those influences into one is kind of how we describe it.
How many records have you recorded?
We're actually 9.
Okay, wow.
Yeah,
9 records
in.
Yeah.
Awesome. One is a compilation, and with, you know, with a few new songs in it, so you know, I guess we count that one as well, but 9, yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
It's been a good little ride.
Very good. Both you and Kevin had some radio play as well.
Yeah, we've been fortunate, you know, to have some songs spin on the radio and kind of get some notoriety through that, so it's worked out well for us.
Who are some artists you shared the stage with?
You know, I've been fortunate to share the stage with a lot of my influences. There's a few that I'll probably never get to share the stage with, you know, because they're kind of hanging it up, you know. But, you know, guys from Travis Tritt, you know, I've always been a huge Travis Tritt fan. Darius Rucker, you know, back to the Hootie and the Blowfish days, you know. We've gotten to hang out a lot with, you know, guys like Aaron Lewis, you know, he's doing a cool little solo project now, Bad Company. And yeah, just, I can't even remember all of them, to be honest with you. But there's some I wish I could say, you know, I could have close to getting on stage with, but it never happened.
Yeah. Well, never know what the future's going to bring.
Never know.
You know? What would you say, I'll ask the same question I asked him, what would you say to a musician up and coming? What advice would you give them?
You know, I think kind of like what Kevin was saying, it's surround yourself with good people, because you can't do it all on your own. You know, and I'm not the guy that's going to go out and sell myself. I'm just not that guy. You know, and but yeah, I mean, surrounding yourself with good people who believe in what you do, believe in the art, and not trying to make $1 off of you for one. And I'll never forget, you know, every time I get asked that question, I was in an office in Sony Records one day and getting ready to play for some A&R folks, and I looked over and they had a plaque on the wall, this poster, and it was a quote from Waylon Jennings. And you know, I don't remember word for word, but it was basically saying like you better not do it for the money, you better not do it for the fame, you know, and all that stuff. And it just really, you know, struck a chord with me, because it's like, kind of like what Kevin was saying, you know, at the end of the day you would probably do it for free, but you know, we all have to make a living, and I think you can get caught up in the whole you know, the notoriety. Once you start to get notoriety, you know, and you kind of lose track of like why you're really doing it. And yeah, I think if you're doing it for the right reasons and you have a good group of people around you, all that other stuff is going to come, you know. And I think we're all can say, like, when we first get started, that's what you want, right? You want to go from here to here as quickly as possible, but the more you can do this and just slowly grow, I think your longevity is so much better, you know. So I just think surrounding yourself with good people and doing it for the right reasons, you know.
Jaryd, where can people find out about your music website?
You know, we have our website, it's jarydlane.com, and it's JARYDLANE, and you know, all the social media sites, you know, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram,
all linked on there.
All that stuff, it's all right there.
Great, man. Any final thoughts just about, you know, what's the next move for Jaryd? What's the next thing, man?
I wish I knew. No, man, it's continuously evolving. You know, I mean, we don't really know. I mean, you know, all we know is that we make music, and we always try to like base it off the newest project that we're doing, I guess you could say. You know,
Yeah.
and you know, you're always trying to step outside your comfort zone and go outside the box. But for us, we always just kind of not necessarily deal with work, but because you know, some of our early stuff is totally different, and you know, we still get asked to play those songs, and it's like, first of all, I can't play all the songs, and, you know, so you know, hopefully next, I mean, it would be great to just tap into new markets. That's kind of what we're always looking to do, you know, and kind of take what we've done in a market and like, okay, let's say what we did in Lafayette over the years, you know, and just do that in different sections and just grow it from there.
That's great.
You know, we've been independent our whole, you know, on every record we've done. So, you know, that's pretty cool, you know, to say that we've done that. I mean, it would be great, I guess, sometimes to have some backing, you know. But, you know, we've always been able to make the music we want to make, so.
Hey, that's a great trail. The thing I love about what you and Kevin have said is kind of, in a good way, surprising. You guys really have hammered the music business side of this. And I think people that are going to watch this are going to really pick that up, because it's so easy to look at like the American Idol like thing where, oh, I get up in there and I'm just going to make it. And they don't realize like, no, this is actually a career, and you have to work at it just like you would any job. You have to work, man. You know?
And I think it's just how far, you know, if you want it to be a hobby, that's fine.
Sure,
But you know, if you're really going out there to make a name and to do it as an artist, you know, make art, and the business is just part of it. And you know, he can probably tell you even more than me, but it's if I could never deal with the business, I'd be
well, that's why you hire people, like you said earlier. That's why you hire people when you get to that point to take care of those things, so both you guys can concentrate on what you do best. Right.
But you know, I think especially for younger artists, I mean, learn as much as you can, man. I think, you know, just from dealing with folks in Nashville and just things that I've experienced, you know, if I was handed something, any kind of contract or anything, like, you know, I would just do as much research as I possibly could, you know, because I didn't want to be the guy that signed on the dotted line, no clue what was going on, you know, so I would just learn as much as you possibly can, you know, from the playing side and the business side, you know, I mean, be smarter than those out there, you know, than the person that, and know what you want. And I think, you know, they say when you sign on the dotted line, you better dot your I's and cross your T's.
Exactly.
So, you know, there's always going to be the give and take, you know, you're not going to get it all, but I think, you know, knowledge is power, especially in this, because it's, it can be rough, you know, to be honest.
Well, speaking of learning, what would you say to a family or a student looking to enroll at the Music Academy of Acadiana?
You know, I would, like Kevin was saying, you know, if you have a kid that, or anybody that's really interested in learning and even just learning the basics, you know, because I didn't have that resource growing up, you know, and I was kind of like Kevin, you know, I mean, I got into music actually playing the drums, and so I was just that guy who would just listen to Rush records on the headphone and try to copy the stuff on a pillow, you know, and trying to learn James Taylor records, you know, and so, you know, I wish I would have had that tool, because, you know, even if you don't, you know, want to learn how to read big pieces of music, the more you know, even if you learn at an early age and you learn the basics, well, everything else is just built off of that, you know. I mean, country, you know, they say country music is 3 chords and the truth. Well, it's true, but you know, the more you can grow off of that, the better songwriter you'll be, you know, just all around. I think it'll make you a better artist, you know, musician.
So Jaryd, if somebody came up to you and said, man, I'm looking to do some guitar lessons, where should I go? What would you say?
Music Academy of Acadiana.
All right. Music Academy rocks?
Music Academy rocks.
For the 9 to 5ers, they get to work on time.